Short video today, but it's one that I feel like I had to make, not because anyone was forcing me to into making this video, but I wanted to make this video and I wanted to talk about this. Now, a few weeks ago, if not it's almost been 2 months, I think, when the Tampa Bay Lightning won the Stanley Cup and then essentially had a public celebration, I called them out for it, and I stand by calling them out for it. However, that video was titled, paraphrasing here, that the Tampa Bay Lightning disgraced the NHL by doing that. And I still stand by that. This is water over the bridge at this point. I still stand by that. I think, there were better ways to handle that, celebrate publicly later on, once we're still not in the middle of a pandemic, while the state of Florida is, the fucking one of the poster boys in the United States for, hey, COVID trouble. Point being, I used the word disgrace, and a lot of people felt that was a little bit harsh. In hindsight, after hearing about this story, would I change the word disgrace? Probably. It's a tough call. Because I don't know if it's fair to call what the Arizona Coyotes have done here, and then, circumstances involving a pandemic, I don't know if it's fair to call them both a disgrace. Maybe it's better suited to call this an embarrassment, Tampa a disgrace. Tampa an embarrassment, this a disgrace. But the point being is the NHL, while they were going through the playoffs, had nothing but positive press for the most part. They pulled off the bubble perfectly, much like the NBA did. Hell, they did it better than the NBA because, as we know of, no players tried to sneak girls into the hotel room because they just couldn't go without sex before getting bounced from the playoffs because that player wasn't on the LA Lakers. And since then, you've had the Tampa incident, and now you have this. And it's just, it's so frustrating as a hockey fan where it's like, yeah, man, people are praising the NHL. There it goes. The Arizona Coyotes, for those who have somehow missed the story, I doubt you have because it's been the talk of the hockey world for the past 24 hours or so, drafted this man, and I say this man because he's 18, soon to be 19 years old. They drafted Mitch Miller in the 4th round of this year's draft, and if you read this scouting report, seems like someone who could be a future NHLer. If you look at where he was scouted, nearly in the top 100 from TSN. McKeen's had him 50. Future Considerations had him a little bit lower, but still being drafted. NHL Central Scouting had them in their top 50 for North American skaters, I do believe here. It might have just been North American forwards, but regardless, someone who is clearly talented on the ice, and that does not matter in the fucking slightest. Because the Arizona Coyotes, despite being an organization that had mentioned standing up above, and condoning bullying and, racial abuse, still drafted Mitch Miller, who is very, very, very much guilty of bullying, of racial abuse, and of, in general, just being a scumbag. Now, it's not difficult to find the stories about why this guy's in the news, because he should be. The details of it are sickening and horrific. One of the things that stands out here for me is from J.D. Burke. Again, not that hard to find J.D. Burke as well. But he mentions, teams knowing that this had happened, and a lot of teams staying clear from drafting Mitch Miller. Yet the Arizona Coyotes, who, by the way, I don't know if this is the reason John Chayka got fired, but the Arizona Coyotes, who, by the way, were docked draft picks this year because they just couldn't help but, want to get that extra bit of scouting in there. More than just what you were allowed to do. They needed to get that in-person testing done too. And they got in trouble for that. But through all of that extra attention to even cheat in your scouting, you still viewed this kid as being worth it. And that is to say, and I guess the point of this video is to say, it's not for me to be like, yep, nope, he's an asshole. That's very fucking evidence. You can sit here and read along too with this thread, and again, what he had done You can sit here and read the recap from that story as well, where even the judge is like, yeah, I don't think this guy's remorseful at all. There's the further story of allegations that he has still gone by the household of the kid he tortured and just kind of stared. People deserve second chances, but in order to be worthy of that second chance, there needs to be receipts. I don't think that Mitch Miller's life should be ruined. Let me finish that sentence. I don't think Mitch Miller's life should be ruined, like he ruined that boy's, if he's willing to put in the effort to show that, man, I was a fucking horrible kid, but I'm not that anymore. The problem is, he hasn't done that. The judge at the time doesn't think that he had shown remorse. To this day, publicly, as far as we know, he has not apologized to the boy. He has not apologized to the boy's family. Why do you deserve a second chance here? Because you're good at hockey? A lot of people are good at hockey. The vast majority of people would rather have someone on their team who isn't good at hockey, but you can at least look at them and say, that's a good person, man or woman. I don't understand what the Coyotes are doing here. It's such a bad look for them. It's a bad look for the NHL, especially too, you talk about the NHL and what went on once the playoffs started back up with Matt Dumba, just everything surrounding the racial issues, of course, that we had seen this summer in the NHL. Certainly, almost in some ways feeling like they were being dragged, kicking and screaming, to even hitting a little bit of a level compared to the NBA playing at the same time. And again, you talk about this in Arizona being like, oh no, we don't condone racism, and then this happens. Like I said, perhaps this is more worthy of the term disgrace as opposed to Tampa. Neither are great headlines. This one is probably worse. Like I said, I don't think it's fair to necessarily compare somebody being racially abused from second grade until the age of 14 to a fucking pandemic going on. I mean, they're both horrible, horrible fucking situations. I don't know if it's fair to try and compare them, because then someone might start the conversation of what's worse than the other, and they're both fucking horrible. Let's settle it at that. The bottom line is, like I said, for me with this video, it's number one, obviously, holy shit, do I feel for that boy and his family who suffered through this. And for Mitch Miller, I wish, in a way, I do wish that we could sit here and say he deserves a second chance, because here are the receipts. But again, there haven't been the receipts. And until he shows that he's changed, and I'm sorry, but like, oh, well, it was 4 years ago. I don't know about you guys, but I mean, I'm 26 now. That might surprise some people. That might be like, wow, you're younger or older than I thought, whatever. I remember being 14. My birthday's in February, so 14-year-old Tougie, you're talking about the end of 8th grade and going into my freshman year of high school. Did I feel that much different between the beginning of high school and the end of high school? Not really. Like, there was certainly some growth there and some maturing, but did I necessarily feel that different? No. And I don't know about you guys, but sometimes I sit here and think, man, do I feel that much different at 26 than I did when I was 18? Not really. Like, I've certainly matured in a lot of different ways. I've grown as a person in a lot of different ways. I've had a lot of experiences. But to sit there and say that it's dead set, 14 to 18, he is just a completely different person. No, and he hasn't shown that he is. So, again, clearly a talented hockey player. But does he deserve this second chance? Right now, no. And the problem is, at this point, for Mitch Miller, even if over the next decade you've proven that you're a changed person, you've lost the benefit of the doubt that you've done it for the right reasons and not just selfishly to repair any type of career that you might have. Because now that you've been called out for it and that the Coyotes have been called out for it, there are always going to be people who believe that you're still the same scumbag and that you only tried to prove that you changed to salvage a hockey career. And are those people wrong? They might not be. Your opportunity to prove that you've changed and that you're not that same mentally disturbed kid was that 4-year window between when you were convicted and when you were drafted, and you didn't do it. So is Mitch Miller ever going to have a successful hockey career? I don't know. I don't. This is going to be a black cloud over his head for the rest of his life. You know, you talk about, the incident that, talking about the opportunity to repair. The incident that I think of is NASCAR driver Kyle Larson, who right at the very beginning of this pandemic dropped the N-word on a live stream. He was basically immediately cut from NASCAR. From that point on, he was barely seen in the media at all. But in that time, he was just reinstated to NASCAR a week or so ago. But let's say between March and April and this past week or two, what was he doing in that time? Didn't publicize a fucking thing, but he was doing a lot of charitable work. The argument, though, you lost the benefit of the doubt. Did you do it just to salvage your career? Who's to say? But at the very least, he put in the work. He didn't do it for the publicity. He didn't do it, just be like, hey, look at me. I'm fixed. Bring me back, please. I like money in NASCAR. He at least put in the work. Now, obviously, some people might argue, like, oh, Kyle Larson's in his 20s or whatever. What's this kid supposed to do? He doesn't have the money already. There are things to do to prove that you've changed. So, you look at that incident with, like, Kyle Larson, and it's, okay, the receipts are at least there. Fucking short leash, buddy. But, like, I myself, and obviously it's different as a fucking white guy, to just be like, okay, I can at least see why he's getting a second chance. There might be some people, especially affected by the word that he said, that are just like, no, fuck this guy. And I completely get that. But for me, I can sit there and just be like, okay, I can at least understand why he's getting a second chance. Where does Mitch Miller go? I don't know. And a lot of people are like, straight into the trash, hopefully. And I don't necessarily disagree with that. Do people deserve second chances? Yes. But my God, he's done nothing. Absolutely nothing to deserve this chance. And now again, you sit here and look at these headlines for the NHL and for the Arizona Coyotes. I think it is fair to say that the Coyotes have disgraced the NHL as well. Again, Tampa issue, nah. The Arizona Coyotes have disgraced the NHL. And I'm very intrigued to see what they do next. I'm not really intrigued to know what Mitch Miller does next. I genuinely wouldn't care if I never hear of this kid again. And 10 years from now, if all he is a name where you're scrolling down like Mitch Miller, 2020 draft. Why does that sound familiar? If that is the most notoriety he ever gets, it suits him. It suits him. But yeah, I don't know. I felt the need to have to talk about this. And again, to the Myers Carruthers family, again, Isaiah Meyer Carruthers was the fucking boy who had to survive this shit. To that family, I mean, fuck's sake, like, what can you say? I mean, Jesus Christ, it's like I think all I can do right now is just essentially be happy that this didn't have a more tragic ending, because it really seems like it could have. Yeah, how many times have we seen instances of, I'd say, bullying to this extent where, the victim views suicide as an option, for example, or, hurts themselves, hurts others because nobody helped. So, what else can you say?